Hello everybody, my name's Novi and welcome back to the channel. The term aura has made its way all across the internet, especially in the IWC, and is now used all the time in discussions. Whether you're talking about tier lists, rankings, or even just personal feelings, aura has become a genuine thing to consider, I think for very good reason. While it may not be the most objective way to analyze a wrestler, having that main event, top guy, star feel is a very big deal. And so today, I want to go over a few examples of different kinds of aura and why they're present in these certain examples. Before we get started, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I also want to take a second to just thank you guys for all the support we've been getting on the channel. It truly does mean the world to me, and I'm just so grateful that people want to talk about Graps with me, so thank you all. For our first example, let's take it back to Forbidden Door 2 earlier this year. With the card taking shape and matches being announced, there was one specific announcement that stood out amongst all the rest. A dream match so dreamy that it kicked the AEW World Championship out of the main event slot. Danielson vs. Okada was the kind of match people have fantasized about for years and years, for very good reason. They're two of the greatest performers to ever do it, and they're finally getting the chance to go one-on-one, something many people never even thought possible given all the circumstances surrounding both guys. But isn't that just the spirit of Forbidden Door? Dream matches seemingly unrealizable finally getting the chance to happen, in America no less. That energy was present for both Forbidden Doors, whether that's in Chicago for the first one or now in Ontario for this one. It seemed like people in the arenas were just ecstatic that they were finally going to get to see people like Tanahashi and Naito wrestle live in living color. That energy was probably no more felt though than for the face-off between these two legends before the bell rang. It seemed like everybody, even though they were chanting holy shit in the arena, were waiting on bated breath, whether that's on the timeline or in the arena, just waiting for that bell to ring, and when it finally did, everybody just lost it. People on the timeline tweeting holy shit, people in the arena chanting holy shit even more now. They were clapping their hands, they were stomping their feet. This was all from the realization that, holy shit, this match was actually gonna happen. That right there, that's aura. That's the kind of aura you can only get from putting together a dream match of this caliber. Two living legends with auras of their own, combining those auras, I guess, to do battle is always going to have just insane levels of feeling. It's even crazier when you realize this is the second time Danielson has been in a moment like this in AEW. That's just what the American Dragon does, but the rematch for this match is finally going to get to happen very soon at Wrestle Kingdom, and they should actually be able to have a real match here, so I couldn't be more excited, especially because it's going to be in the Dome, so it's going 7. The only things I can envision is that the match is going to be filled with more heart, it's going to be filled with more heat, it's especially going to be filled with more aura. I just hope that New Japan gets that final countdown entrance for my GOAT. When talking about someone with no aura, I could just take the easy route and say Brian Pillman Jr. and go on and on about why he doesn't have aura, but that's boring because I think you guys already know why. But I want to do something a little bit more challenging, so let's talk about someone who has at times had the most aura of anyone in professional wrestling, losing it in just one promo. I know that sounds harsh, but you gotta let me explain, and I think some of you might have even guessed it by now, and you probably saw the thumbnail. So, of course, we're talking about CM Punk, who made his return at Survivor Series earlier this week. Regardless of your feelings about the man, you cannot deny that that was an all-timer wrestling moment and probably the most insane comeback in the history of the sport, just given all the circumstances surrounding Punk in WWE. I was tuned into the end of Survivor Series because I just had to know, and just seeing everybody lose their minds over the fact that this was actually real and actually happening in front of them was just a moment in time that I don't think will ever be replicated. Then afterwards, CM Punk gets announced for Raw, and they're saying he's gonna have a live mic, so I'm gonna tune in, and all the CM Punk enjoyers are gonna tune in. What me and all those guys got was a refresher on why we don't watch Raw and why we don't watch WWE programming for that matter, but that's besides the point. We're talking about Punk. So the show goes on, 11 draws closer and closer, and everyone's kind of thinking like, how much time are they going to give him? By the time he actually came out, it was like 10-15, and I was legitimately shocked. I thought they'd at least give him 10, but there's so much hype going into it. There's so much like curiosity to see what he's going to say. Let's just see it, I just want to know. Then CM Punk gives us what I thought was probably the most uninspired, manufactured, and soulless promo that I've heard in just, I don't know, a very, very long time. all that history that the people know about, all the people backstage that they're building the feuds with, and he doesn't like set up anything at all. All he has to say in this entire promo is that he loves the WWE and that he's back home, which is just nasty, but it's also kind of hilarious. It's hilarious because apparently he was the only one who cooked up this promo. He had no producers or anything like that because, you know, of course he didn't, but still, I mean, this is what you came up with? When I saw him look into that camera lens, I just knew. This wasn't the CM Punk that I've always loved watching. This wasn't the CM Punk even in AEW. And sure, it was just a 5-minute promo. It's only the first one, and it could turn into something worthwhile. But I don't think that's a like real excuse for this being, you know, this bad. Legitimately, the only thing that it accomplished in a moment that everybody was watching, I mean, it popped a huge demo number, was that he was doing this for business. And he was doing it for the fat check that they're going to give him, which that's honestly fine, you know, I get it. But there's no aura in that. For our final example, I actually want to take it back to the first one. Remember when I flashed this picture up on the screen? I've already talked about one half of that image, so I think it's best that we talk about the other half. Kenny, by God, Omega. One of the biggest factors of wrestlers having aura is honestly their entrance, and there's a lot of great ones out there. Moxley walking through the crowd, Julia Hart's new entrance with her new song. There's a lot of cool ones out there that have aura just because exactly that. They're cool. For those though, it's the presentation making the entrance have aura, which isn't a knock at all because that kind of aura is real too. What's even realer to me though is when the wrestler makes the entrance have aura, when their presence just gives it that feeling. And I don't think there's any better personification of that than Kenny Omega coming out for a singles match. His long-standing reputation as the best bout machine causes entire arenas' moods to shift just by him showing his face. It seems like everyone there live in the arena when Battle Cry hits finally realizes like, hey, I'm actually going to get to see a Kenny Omega singles match here, and just their tone completely changes. Hell, even during the promos for that feud, the crowds were popping every time there was even mention of Kenny Omega surrounding the AEW World Championship. That's because Kenny Omega has a one-of-a-kind aura, something that I don't think anyone else can match, maybe except for Bryan Danielson, but even him, I don't think it's similar. It's one thing to have an aura because of a cool presentation or just any other random factor, but it's another when you've earned that aura through being the best at what you do, maybe even the best to ever do it, and Kenny Omega is exactly that. That's going to do it for today's video. Make sure to comment down below your favorite example of aura in wrestling because there's just so many that I didn't cover and I want to hear them all, especially from you guys. I hope everyone enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and thank you all once again for the support. I'll see you all next week. Much love. Peace.